All right, welcome to another episode of Bad and Barred. It's your girl Avi B, and I actually am alone tonight because this news about Joe Biden dropping out of the presidential race, the presidential election, is fresh, hot off the press, and it's nighttime, and I'm recording because I cannot sleep. I have so many thoughts, and I just have to share this. As y'all know, my partner in crime, my partner in politics, is currently studying for the bar exam. And so I'm not going to bother her, but I need to get all these thoughts out of my head. And I had a couple of my friends hit me up like, girl, what do you think about this? What's going on? And so I just wanted to come on here and share a few thoughts. This will be like a little mini episode, and then we'll have a longer episode later. But the first thing that I really want to say is that it is not the end of the world. I do not want us to continue to buy into the agenda of gloom and doom. This is something that the media is selling us for clicks and likes and everything else, and we are falling right into into their messaging as political pawns. I don't want us to think that the world is coming to an end. That's something that I'm having to continuously remind myself of, and that I've done this week and with some friends. And so, if you need to take a break from the scrolling and from social media, do that. Because the reality of it is, yes, we are living in unprecedented times. I saw somebody earlier say, I'm ready to live in the precedented times. And I feel you on that. But the reality is, we are still alive. We're going to be alive, and we're going to pull our collective voices together in November. And that's that on that. I have a cold, and so I contemplated a lot about whether I was even going to come on here to do this because I'm super nasally, but it is what it is. So y'all bear with me as I record this episode. So beyond us not letting fear drive us and not letting fear keep us on the couch in November, I do have some thoughts about Joe Biden dropping out of this race and what this means. And so, just briefly, it's been a few hours since Joe Biden announced via social media that he is dropping out of the 2024 presidential election after a lot of pressure from his own party. His own party turned their back on him and bullied him out of the office. The one thing that is not being said that I want a lot of people to remember is that politics is about power and money. And the Dems were losing a lot of money. A lot of their sponsors, a lot of their big token PAC collective funding was not coming in. There were so many calls for Joe Biden to drop out of the race. And as a result of him staying in, people started holding their money back. And so his campaign was not only polling behind Donald Trump's, he also was starting to lose a lot of money. And to run a real efficient election campaign, you gotta have the coins. Let's just be real. In terms of being clear, Joe Biden is still the president. I saw something today about Kamala rejoicing now that she's been promoted. She's not the president. Let's be real. Joe Biden is still the president. Now, truthfully, what do I think about that? I think that Joe Biden should also resign as president. He should step down. You know, he's created a name for himself, a legacy for himself. He's been a politician for pretty much his whole life, and his record is clear. I think he now needs to step down and let Kamala step in to finish out his term. And I think she needs to get in there and sign as many executive orders as Donald Trump did and prove to folks that she's about that action, because there's a lot of people who do not have faith in Kamala as a potential nominee for the Democratic Party because folks don't know how she's different than Biden. People think that they're one and the same. And, you know, a lot of people also have a lot of feelings about Kamala's past as a prosecutor. People call her a top cop. And so now is her chance to get into office and prove folks wrong. And I think that if Joe Biden were to step down and she proved to the naysayers and to the haters that she actually is a viable candidate for this position because of the track record that she'll be able to establish over the next 6 months, then I think that we have some potential for positive movement for Kamala. And so the reality of, and also, let's go back a second. Sis's name is Kamala. Y'all been tearing it up. Camellia, Camila, Kamala. The emphasis is on the Kamala. So, yeah, do I think that Kamala is a viable candidate? The reality of it is this country can't stand black women. We know that. We have lived in it long enough. We have seen it. I've seen a lot of people saying if Hillary can't beat Trump, what makes us think that a black woman can do it? And first of all, ain't nothing that a black woman can't do. Let's be real. I am one. We got superpower. And, I'm trying so hard not to fall into this defeatist mindset. But I think that Kamala has a strong, viable chance. I think that she needs to pick a moderate. I don't think that she needs to go with somebody that's extremely liberal as her VP pick. She needs to be real and choose somebody that's a little bit in the middle, right? Middle ground. And use them and make a strong name for herself, separate and apart from Joe Biden. That's really important. And so Joe is, like I said a second ago, he's still the president. I think he should step down and let her make a name for herself separate and apart from him, and make a name for herself beyond being a prosecutor that is known for locking folks up and throwing away the key. I think that we need to be real and, consider the possibilities of having a black woman in this office. A black woman in the highest seat of the land is going to be something that we've never seen before. It would be something that's absolutely amazing. But for the next 4 months, we know the reality is they're going to tear black women down. We're going to hear everything from here to there about black women, what they can do, what they can't do. Beyond this, we are already the most hated and disrespected. We know that. But we don't have to buy into the things that we hear in the media about us. We don't have to accept these things. We also don't have to feel the need to defy all odds and prove ourselves to, go beyond these stereotypes. I just want you to know, as a black woman, that it's okay to just be. It is okay to stop scrolling, to not listen to what any of these politicians have to say about you and your existence as a black woman. It is okay for you to just exist. And so, it's important that we're taking care of ourselves in these moments. I think what we know to be true is that Donald Trump does not need to be the president of the United States. He's going to do a lot of danger, as he's already proven before. I think that the Democrats need to pull it out these next 4 months, not do a bunch of political pandering and putting rappers and athletes on the stage to speak to black people, because we know that that's ignorant. Black people are educated, and you can speak to us in an educated manner without the use of R&B, hip hop, and basketball. Let's be real about that. I also think that it's imperative for us to make sure that we tapping on a neighbor. We know somebody in our family who ain't gonna vote. If you know me, if we friends, just know that I have looked up your past election. Every election I do this. And if you're a loved one of mine, you know you're gonna get a phone call of mine if you haven't yet voted. So during early voting, if it's getting closer to that date and I see that you haven't voted, it's public record. I'm gonna text you. That's exactly how we all need to be. We need to be super vigilant in making sure that not only are we getting out to vote, our loved ones and the people that we know around us are also showing up to the polls. This is not the time to abstain from voting. I understand that the Democrats have failed on many promises to black and brown people. I get that. However, at this particular moment, the focus is on ensuring that Donald Trump does not make it back to the office, back to the White House. That is the focus. I saw somebody earlier on TikTok say they could put a shoe in there and I'm going to vote for him so long as it's against Donald Trump. And like, facts. I'm sorry. I know that there are so many people who have been vying for independent candidates. It's not the time for that. We can talk about that at another point in time. Right now is not the time to be talking about voting for an independent candidate. You know why? Because most people can't name one. And if they can, they cannot name their political agenda or their successes as politicians. So let's be real. We know that we have two parties to choose from. It's frustrating. It's annoying that we have a two-party system that we have bought into, They are ran by money and power. The money and power in this country is in that two-party system. It's not with an independent candidate. We can discuss that and talk about that after this election, because right now the focus is on ensuring that Donald Trump does not get back in the office. I have seen so many things on social media about the Obamas needing to come and save us. Michelle Obama has made it clear, y'all, that she's not running. And also, I saw something about Barack Obama needing to be the vice president. Two black people in the White House, now y'all pushing it. They're not going for that. Would I love that? Absolutely. But let's be so for real. Let's be for real. And also, I don't think that Michelle is going for that either, because she has made two books, not one but two, about how her peace was disturbed and how her family was disturbed during that time that he was in the White House. Nonetheless, this is just, like I said, a quick little episode. I wanted to share a few thoughts of mine about this whole situation. I think that it's terrible that this decision has come down on Joe Biden, by Joe Biden, so late. We know that we have 4 months, really like 3.5, until November. And so whoever this person is needs to have some true name recognition. They don't need to bring somebody that we don't know, because that's going to be an uphill battle to fight. We need to put somebody in there who we know. And so we know that the Democratic National Convention is coming up in a couple of weeks. The Democratic National Convention is a place where all the Dems meet and they put forth their candidates. There's an open seat right now, from what we know, but the representatives have not chosen a person. So the Democratic Party has their select delegates who chooses who their nominee is going to be, who the person is that's going to be on the ballot for the Democratic Party. They have not yet said who that's going to be. So far, we only know that that President Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris, and several other Democratic politicians have endorsed her. We don't know who is officially going to be yet. And she released a statement today that pretty much said, "Get in the booth. I'm ready to duke it out, whoever it is." That's me being a little dramatic. She didn't say it like that. But nonetheless, she says she's willing to prove while she deserves and earns that seat. And so, are we in a good place? No. Like, we know that this is like everybody is saying, unprecedented times. We ain't never seen no stuff like this before. We just haven't. But what we do know is Donald Trump, if he gets in, will do more harm to black and brown folks and the American people altogether than any president we've ever seen before. So it ain't time to sit down on the couch and not show up in November. No matter how you feel, you better take your tail to the poll during early voting. You also need to check what is required for you to vote in your state. So, for example, if you are where I am in North Carolina, we now need a voter, an ID to vote. You now need a photo ID to vote in this election. Don't get caught slipping without one. We can talk about the ramifications of that on another episode. But it stopped Trump 2024. That's just it. Like, all this debating on what and when and how, all of that is nonsense. This ain't the time for independent candidates. Like I said, it's time for us to put our force and all of our efforts behind whoever is their candidate, truthfully. And I know that sounds like, sheep mentality, but the reality is what it is. And after this, we have to do a better job at educating folks on civic engagement beyond the polls. I talk about this every election. People just think, oh, what can I do? Go vote, go vote, go vote. That's all they teach us to do. And then we get to an election and we're stuck choosing between nonsense and nonsense. And then people are feeling dismayed. Well, if you're engaged civically beyond the election, you would feel a lot more hopeful about what you can do locally. I saw so many memes earlier about whether we've ever seen a prosecutor lose to a felon, and that's hilarious to think of for many reasons. But beyond being a felon, Donald Trump has also been found civilly liable for rape. He's also criminally guilty of 34 different counts, 34 felonies. And so, let's be so for real. I feel like we're living in a time of stupid. Like, The fact that Donald Trump is even a potential option blows my mind. Like, blows my mind. Because how do we get here? How did we get here? Do y'all be using y'all stinkers? Huh? Do y'all be using this? The matter that's I'm pointing to my head for the people who are not watching. Is there anything between the ears of the people who are voting for Trump? Is what I want to know. Is there anything here, or is it empty matter up there? You know, I just have so many questions. It's not time for us to give up. It's not time for us to throw in the towel. Don't be discouraged. Don't be dismayed. Be frustrated, angry, yes, but don't buy into the apathy that they're selling. And on that note, like I said, this was supposed to be a mini episode. I'm super nasally and congested, so I'm gonna wrap this one on up. Thank y'all for tuning in, and there will be a more fuller, in depth discussion on this soon.